The series of slides you've just seen could be some of the reasons for a lot of people who might want to consider improving their cardiovascular condition through running, jogging or simply walking, and thus would be unable to do so. Here's an example of a run that someone might dream of doing while being in similar examples of crowded cities, without the benefits of neighborhood gyms, and without having a treadmill at home. Ideally, after doing a few minutes of muscle and joint stretches, one may dream of starting out slow, warming up, simply by walking at a very relaxed pace of, say, just a little less than 1 meter a second. He may want to walk at that rate for about 100 meters and from that point, pick up the pace to a brisk walk of just a bit above 1 meter per second and continue walking at the same speed until he gets to a point 400 meters from where he started. At this stage, he may already feel warmed up, heart beating at a slightly faster rate than it was when he first started out, and from there, he increases his speed, this time into a jogging rate. At 800 meters, he then speeds up into what he may already consider for himself to be a run. At 1,400 meters, he decides to push it up a bit, into a more intense run, for another 300 meters before shifting back down to the much easier jogging rate he did earlier. Finally, at a distance of 2 kilometers from where he started, he's just about done, so now he shifts to lower gear and just briskly walks up to the 2.2 kilometer mark. He may choose to walk at that rate all the way to the end, but let's say he chooses to slow it down further, to the relaxed walk he started out from, all the way to kilometer 2.5, at which time he ends his run. Had he monitored his heart rate during the entire exercise, he would have observed his heart rate to have started out at its normal, relaxed rate, ramped up slowly as he gradually increases his speed every few hundred meters, peaked at about stage 5, during his most intense run, after which it slides down to a normal, after exercise level, following the decline of his speed. He dreams, but because he's in one of the situations the previous slides just described, he is, for the moment, unable to. A possible solution, borrowed from the concept of the shuttle run, or the beep test, as it is known in some sectors of society, such as the police force, is thus proposed. Check out the different links found below or in this app's website, to learn more about shuttle runs and beep tests being used in recruiting members of the police force, especially in the UK, and in countries associated with it. In addition to a reasonable pair of running shoes, a short strip of known length, to be used as a running track, and a smartphone are all that's needed. A smartwatch, that measures heart rate, while optional, would also be a highly recommended piece to have, if one can obtain it. The idea is to complete what would have been the distance that one would have dreamt of running in those crowded city streets, within that short strip, at the same speeds that you would have been running, and at the predefined distances you set yourself to run them, all of it, managed by an app on your smartphone. The phone acts not just as a visual guide, but, more importantly, as an audible guide, guiding each step as you run, and giving you audible cues on when you're about to get to the end of the strip before turning back. It also guides you to speed up or slow down as you get to each of the speed stages defined. Finally, it ends the run, as you would have originally defined it too. Now, to properly define your run parameters to mimic an ideal run that you would have done in a crowded street, we need to understand a couple of terms. First, is the shuttle length, which is nothing more than the actual length of the shuttle, or that strip of path on which you plan to run. In our example, let us suppose we've marked a path of exactly 15.0 meters. There are no hard and fast rules as to what this length should be, but will be whatever is available at the location you're in, where you plan to execute your run. It does not even have to be a whole number like in our example above, but may even be a fraction of such as 15.27. In fact, this method has been tested on a strip as short as 7.56 meters, at an average speed of 2.24 meters per second, or around 8 kilometers per hour, at short bursts of time. Then we have the lap, and that is the length we travel once we've gone back to our starting point. It is much like what a lap is running around a circular track. With a strip, however, this is simply twice the shuttle's length. The end run distance, which is rather self-explanatory, is the distance we would want to cover after ending the run, whether as a huge loop around the city, or multiple laps back and forth on our short shuttle strip. Next are the parameters that define our speed. Steps per minute is another self-explanatory concept, and is, of course, nothing else but the number of steps your feet make with the pavement within 1 minute, or whatever it converts to, if taken at a fraction of a minute. So 23 steps in 15 seconds, which is a quarter of a minute, equates to 92 steps per minute. The app abbreviates steps per minute to SPM. Next. Each person, depending on his height, would have a certain stride, or step length, which will vary at the speed he is traveling. It could be short, if walking in a relaxed manner, and very long if doing a sprint. This app puts that average, initially at 0.7 meters. Therefore, the approximate number of steps one needs to complete the shuttle length can be computed from 1. The shuttle length's value, and 2. From the runner's step length. For this app's purposes, the runner's step length is set at 0.7 meters. The result is then rounded off to the next higher whole number. Therefore, shuttle length steps, meaning the number of steps needed to cover one shuttle, is the next parameter we need to know and is abbreviated as SLS. Understand though that the value of 0.7 meters is for initial estimation purposes only and will be finalized as you test doing your first actual run. Runset, the next concept to understand. It is a collection of these 4 earlier parameters: the shuttle length, the end run distance, the number of steps needed to make the shuttle length, or SLS, and finally the number of steps per minute, or SPM. Lap length is used in a lot of the app's calculations, but this is simply derived from the shuttle length, multiplying it by 2 as earlier shown. The stages and its details, which shifts you from walking, to jogging and to running, and back, is also defined within the runsets, as we will see in the next slides. Therefore, the app takes care of everything from calculating the number of laps you need to complete the run. It provides the audible metronome clicks to guide the speed of your steps from, it changes the speed as you shift in between stages, and even signals you as you're about to reach the shuttle end and turn back. However, you need to tell it your preferences by defining your runsets. Here is an example of an actual runset definition in the app. Within it, you see the shuttle run length, end run distance, SPM, and SLS. Then each row represents each stage, showing at what distance each stage begins, as well as SPM and SLS values that define the speed or intensity of the walk, jog or run at that stage. Then later, as you progress and keep using the app more, you define different runsets with different characteristics depending on the type of activity you wish to do. So, in addition to the baseline runset you see defined as runset number 1, we have a second runset where a longer run distance is defined. You can define a third one with the same parameters but with a little more intensity as shown by it having a higher SPM value. The next 3 runsets, numbered 4, 5 and 6, define the same runs as 1, 2 and 3 but at a different shuttle run length of 9.5 meters from the 15 meters used at runsets 1, 2 and 3. Once the runsets have been defined and selected, the only thing left to do would be to start running, whilst listening to the app's audible signals and perhaps glancing at it from time to time to just check how far it is to the next stage, or to the end of the run. Finally, run events are records of actual runs performed. It records the date and time the run started, when it ended, how long it took, the distance ran and finally, the runset characteristics used in it. It will be through these run event records that one might see the progress in his running ability, whether one runs longer distances, at less of a duration than before, or even at higher intensities and speeds. Using running techniques such as the Maffetone method, one may choose to go to the next level, using a smartwatch to monitor heart rate and seeing if he can gradually develop longer runs at less time at the same peak heart rate. Check out the other videos shown or visit the website shown to learn more. Finally, if you have not downloaded it yet, check out this app's availability on Google Play. Thank you for your interest in this video.